One of the most common questions I get from people who are brand new to dividend investing, or if they just recently started, is if they should invest in dividend holdings inside of a retirement account or a non-retirement account. And while the obvious answer is to say yes to both options, depending on a lot of factors including your age, your dividend investing goals, and how much you're able to invest, where you put the majority of your focus can be impacted. So in this video, I want to discuss the pros and cons of investing in dividend holdings inside of both retirement and non-retirement brokerage accounts, and where you might want to consider dedicating the majority of your focus. We'll start with a brief introduction to both account types. When you're signing up for a brokerage account, you're given one of two options in terms of what kind of account you want to open. You can either open a retirement or a non-retirement account, and expanding further, if you select retirement, you're given a choice between opening a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. When it comes to dividend investments, if you hold dividend-paying stocks inside of a traditional IRA, you'll only pay taxes on your dividends when you retire and withdraw the money from the account. This means that before you're living off dividends, your dividends grow tax-free until you start taking the money out. Traditional IRAs allow you to make contributions that are pre-tax, so eventually Uncle Sam will get a share of your income. But usually when people are retired, they're usually in a lower tax bracket since they aren't working anymore, so this can save you a good amount of money on taxes. With Roth IRAs, all contributions are made with after-tax dollars. This means that you've already paid taxes on the money that you've contributed to the account, and as a result, all dividends earned and withdrawn out of the Roth IRA are completely tax-free. You never have to worry about paying any taxes on the money earned inside of a Roth. There's only a very small number of exceptions to this rule, such as investing in some MLPs, but most people will never have to worry about this. It's for this reason when people ask me if they should open a Roth or a trad, I always recommend a Roth. However, both accounts do have benefits that will save you money. So I wouldn't worry if you've already started with a traditional IRA. With a non-retirement brokerage account, you have to pay taxes on all of your dividend income in the year that you earn it. That's regardless if you take the dividends in cash or if you reinvest the dividends into buying more shares of your stocks and ETFs. You'll have to report your dividend income on your tax return every year when you hold dividend stocks inside of a non-retirement account. The main pro of investing in dividend stocks in retirement accounts is the lower or tax-free dividends. This can obviously be a major way of saving a lot of money when you're older. However, there are downsides to investing in retirement accounts. You can only contribute a limited number of money each year, which is currently $7,000 for those under age 50 and $8,000 for those age 50 and older. You're also not allowed to take money out of the account once you've contributed to an IRA before reaching 59.5 years old without a harsh penalty, with a few exceptions that do exist. With a non-retirement account, the pros include being able to contribute as much money as you want to it each year. You're also free to take out as much money as you want at any age for any reason. The biggest downside is having to pay more in taxes. There's ways to alleviate this, like holding investments that pay qualified dividends, but it's almost always going to result in a higher tax bill. So with that being said, let's see where it makes sense to be a dividend investor inside of a retirement account versus a regular brokerage account. For starters, I've known plenty of people who absolutely hate paying taxes. They're very passionate anti-government and they want to pay the IRS as little as possible. If that describes you, then you'll want to invest exclusively in an IRA. For the majority of people though, which account type you dedicate the most amount of focus on dividend investing isn't always going to be the same. The goals and aspirations that you have are going to play a significant impact on where you should do the majority of your investing. For those who are really passionate about pursuing FIRE, which is financial independence retire early, they should think twice about focusing on investing inside of retirement accounts. If it's your goal to retire as early as possible in life, it doesn't make sense to dedicate the majority of your investment dollars into retirement accounts because you can't withdraw the money until you're 59.5. For this group of investors, it usually makes a lot more sense to prioritize investing in non-retirement accounts. Whenever someone asks me if they should pursue dividend investing inside of a retirement or a non-retirement account, I tell them to conduct a brutally honest self-audit of themselves. If you like the idea of living off dividends in your 30s, 40s, or even 50s, you need to figure out if that's going to be possible financially for you. If you don't make a large amount of money and you can only contribute $50 or $100 a month to your investment account and you're starting somewhat late, you need to be brutally honest and figure out if you can live off dividends early. If you're not certain that's possible based upon your income and how much you're able to save, I would always suggest that these people should focus primarily on traditional or Roth IRAs. If you're able to contribute a little more than the yearly limit, then put that amount in a non-retirement account. This is also true regardless of what age you are. If you're very late to the dividend game, such as in your late 40s or 50s, and you don't have much to contribute, then you should be more focused on an IRA. That extra $1,000 a month the IRS allows you to contribute if you're over the age of 50 can really come in handy. If on the other hand, you're starting much younger, like in your teens, 20s, or 30s, it can make sense to focus more on investing in a non-retirement account if you know you're really certain that you'll remain dedicated to dividend investing and wanting another income stream. Those who start early as dividend investors can live off their dividends before reaching 59 and a half, assuming they remain dedicated to the strategy and reinvest their dividends until retirement. That's also even if you're contributing less than $7,000 per year, which is the current yearly maximum for traditional and Roth IRAs. Let's take a look at a very basic example. Let's say someone who's 30 years old is contributing $5,000 per year into Ares Capital, ticker ARCC. We're only going to go with one stock for this very basic example, but obviously you'd want to diversify across many different holdings. We'll assume this 30-year-old will contribute $5,000 per year for 20 years, aiming to retire when they're 50. They'll also reinvest all of their dividends back into buying more shares of ARCC every quarter. If Ares Capital performs the same way that it has been, after 20 years, the investor in our example is expected to be earning $126,000 per year in dividends. Hopefully as time goes on and our investor is becoming older, they'd be contributing more money than this every year since they're likely earning more money in their career. Either that or maybe they're putting their money in other investments or perhaps they're paying off their mortgage. This would really align with the FIRE movement since they'd be living rent or mortgage free. But if this investor was doing this inside of an IRA, they wouldn't be able to live off the dividend distributions for another 9.5 years, assuming this age won't be increased in the future. And I know it's debatable if $126,000 will be sufficient to live off of in 20 years. But again, for people who are really serious about wanting to live off dividends, you'd want to contribute more than just $5,000 per year or have other income streams, such as having a rental property. If a high-yielding investment isn't your cup of tea, we'll run the exact same example using a lower-yielding stock with some greater dividend growth. Using the same time horizon and contribution amounts, but with more share price appreciation, if we run the calculator using Procter & Gamble stock, we can see after 20 years we'd be earning about $31,000 per year in dividends. With a lower yielding investment like PG, even though there's better dividend growth and share price growth, the income after 20 years would still be quite a bit less. In both examples, this information was gathered from Seeking Alpha. Every now and then, I receive messages from people who tell me that they've recently come into possession of a large amount of money. This is usually from them selling a property they had, like a vacation home or a rental property, or they simply kept a large amount of money on the sidelines and they want to go all in on dividend investing. This would be another group of people who will end up spending the majority of their time focused on investing in a non-retirement account because of those contribution limits you get from IRAs. So in summary, I hope you can see why it sometimes makes sense to prioritize investing in dividend stocks outside of an IRA. Doing so requires you though to really consider how likely it'll be that you can live off dividends earlier in life. But even if you don't make your full income in dividends before 60, having some dividends that you can use at any time is still a huge benefit. But regardless, what I usually say to people is do what ultimately makes you the most comfortable. If you hate taxes above all else, then only invest inside of IRAs. But if you don't mind the tax burden and you want access to an income stream, then try investing more in non-retirement accounts. Do whatever gets you to save more money. But with that being said, that's going to conclude today's video. If you'd like to connect and also see what's inside my own personal dividend portfolio, then feel free to check me out over on our Patreon, where you'll receive updates and be able to talk to me and other higher yielding dividend and income investors. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and until next time, take care.